Welcome to Holdback podcast. My name is Jessica Hare. I operate Hare Hollow Farm, and we breed boas, balls, and select colubrids.
Hi, I'm Jana King. I operate ASM Royal Tails, and I breed high-end ball pythons.
We want to share our journey navigating herpetoculture and are dedicated to promoting biohazard safety for all species. And we would love you to answer the question, what's in your holdback rack? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Episode 9?
I don't even... we lost count. We're not even in double digits and we've lost count.
Hey, that's pretty good. I'm okay with losing count.
Okay. Well, we had a weekend. A procedure.
We had a weekend for sure.
Yeah, it is episode 9. I'm okay. How are you?
Oh, woo, weekend hangover for sure.
Yeah, I do feel hangover feelings. I don't feel really bad or really tired. I did get to sleep a bit more last night than the previous night. Did you get to sleep more or less?
I got more sleep last night than I probably had all week, but it still probably wasn't even 8 hours. So, but I was pretty low on sleep going into the weekend. So I imagine it'll take a couple of nights of sleep to make up for the deference of last week. And I always am just wiped out on every front. Talked out, peopled out. My kid came with me and my parents were there and it was just a lot. It was a lot.
There was a whole ass crew at ASM Royal Tails booth. 10 by 10 feet space.
400
people were just inside of her booth alone. Inside of it. Crazy.
Inside of it. It was crazy. It was a little bit crazy. So Portland, hopefully, if I do it, I haven't decided yet. I kind of need to recover before I decide. Because always, it's like when you have a baby and you're like, oh, I'm never doing that again. That sucked so bad. And then the baby's cute and 6 months old and you're like, well, maybe. And then they're a year and totally adorable. And you're like, yeah, I could definitely do that again.
You need the amnesia.
I need the amnesia. So it's kind of like that for me. So right now I'm like, hell no, I'm never doing another show ever again. And then, in a couple of weeks, I'll be fine.
Will you have much inventory by... I don't know if we're jumping ahead or what.
We might be jumping ahead.
Yeah, let's do a narrative of...
Let's back up.
Whatever. Did you pre-feed your animals you wouldn't have been able to feed over the weekend earlier in the week, or did you choose to skip them?
I chose to skip them. Today is the day I would normally feed babies. And they just got back last night. So I will delay them a day or two just to make sure that everybody is settled back in and ready to eat. And then I will probably I normally feed adults on Friday or Saturday. So I'll probably do Wednesday or Thursday. So they'll be 10-ish days rather than 7.
Okay. I pre-fed literally a random number of adult female ball pythons, defrosted 20 medium rats, and I was like, who wants it the most? Well, you're the pre-fed ones, and everyone else. I'm just going to let them wait till next week. Feed on Fridays.
Sure, yeah. I do have some girls that are already starting to go off, and it feels a lot earlier than last year. But I had a crappy year, so maybe that's a good sign that it's different.
Well, you also have a lot of new to you females.
Yeah. So
it just might be earlier type females.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, some of them aren't even they're 15-ish millimeters. It's my first year with a ultrasound. I had just assumed in my brain that the ones that are going off food are 30-ish, but maybe that's not accurate.
I don't know. I think it depends on the female, when she feels too full. So maybe some it's 15 and some it's 25. I know
I've got one that's 25 that she looks at it and she's like, I really want that. But you can tell she's a stuffed sausage and has no room. But she is still maybe I can fit it.
Yeah.
So I quit offering to her, but I think if I went down in prey size, I think she would try to eat it.
Right. You could still try to do that. The black pastel thing that reabsorbed last year, she stopped eating 2 months before she reabsorbed. That's a long time where she felt full and then still went on to reabsorb, 27 millimeter follicles or whatever. But I don't remember the follicle size when she started because I don't think I had the ultrasound at that point. But yeah, I guess they do.
It's going to be really interesting to have that kind of data along with behavioral data. It's super confusing to be adding that data to what I already learned since I don't have a whole lot of experience. It's adding a lot of questions, more questions than answers, but I'm enjoying the process. But we're here to talk about the show.
Okay, how was your show prep? On Friday or whatever?
It was good. I didn't have any kids at home. They were all at school, so...
Show prep. So
I left a lot of it till the last minute, which normally I don't do. Normally I do like little chunks the whole week leading up to it. I have like a box of show stuff that I didn't have to mess with at all, but like individually labeling all my delis and stuff like that. But I was able to pound it out last minute before the setup.
So
how about you?
Do you deli your animals on Friday normally or Thursday and Friday before a show?
So the last show in Puyallup, I delied the morning of and was horrifically late.
Yeah, that seems crazy.
I had accounted for like an hour or an hour and a half to deli animals, and it took me like 2.5 hours.
I think that's a pro tip because deliing takes a lot more time than you think it would.
So much more time than you think. I thought, it'll be so fast. It's not fast at all. It takes...
Especially if you're doing any sort of like accounting or like detailed writing on the form, or you're going to type it into like a little printer thing. Any of that will make it take way longer than you imagine. So
yeah, I usually have like a printed out list of everything I'm planning on taking, and then I like check the list when it goes in the deli, and I check it against. I have all of my babies have a ID number. And so I check the ID number against the sheet and against the deli and against the tub. And so it feels like it takes like 5 minutes each snake, which is ridiculous. What do you do?
I do the same thing. It's really important to me for like continuity of care that they come back and are the same animal assigned to the same number with the same feed records or whatever. Same genetics. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you do that? And I know some people are like, these are all normal ball pythons. So once they become like designated to the normal ball python price point, they can sort of mix them back together. Like they'll have like a bin of normal males. That's even though they are $50, I still treat them like they are whatever they are.
Individual.
Yeah.
So this time I put everybody in cups and I had a display case the night before. And that really helped get out the door the next morning and was much better. I had to do that for the Puyallup show, not the Puyallup, the Portland show, because I had to drive down there Friday night. But I did it like the Friday morning right before I left. So that kind of felt like I was doing it and then going to the show. So that sucked too. But I think it would be too long if I did it Thursday night and then drove up Friday and the show was Saturday and Sunday. Then they'd be in their cup for like 4 days. And that seems too long.
Some people do that though.
Yeah, I know, and lots of people do it.
Like if they're bringing 300 snakes or something, little colubrids, they will deli on Thursday, drive the 8 hours to the show on Friday. They usually people will try to insert little like teeny tiny little water cups that are even smaller than condiment cups, and then they can water them in waves over the weekend. So
interesting.
It's possible.
It is possible, yeah. So I don't normally do anything in the deli cups. And it's in the past, I've only ever had like 1 or 2 animals go to the bathroom in the deli cups. And this show was a freaking shit-tastrophe.
Whoa!
Everything was pooping. Everything was peeing on customers, in deli cups, on everything. Everywhere. On the table, like... It was almost hysterical by the end of the show. I feel like every snake had peed on somebody or something or in something. And so I think I will look into some kind of substrate for next show. I've seen people do like the little white squares.
I think they're like a Sandy chip substitute. I don't know that name brand. I liked my paper. It was pretty good at keeping a poop in one spot and the pee. Like even if they rolled over it, it absorbed enough of it and stuck to it.
Do they have that in white?
Yeah.
Oh, they do. Okay. Is that like the hamster, like Carefree or whatever it's called? Carefresh, because they have that at Tractor Supply.
Yes. Yeah.
I might do that.
The one I ship with was like a pink, purple, yellow blend. It was one I bought from Tractor Supply. I just wanted a blue one for display purposes.
No, and it matched your tablecloth, so
right.
It's great for you. Most of my stuff is black, and so putting blue on black would look not great, in my opinion.
What?
So white would be better.
It's like my two favorite color combo.
Oh, okay.
What are you talking about?
I would not care for that on my table.
When Jessica plays Magic, it's blue-black control.
Oh, okay.
If not Esper. Come on.
That's fine. That's fine. You do you. I will
do me. But it comes in like a billion colors. So if you want to do yellow one time or white or pink or... Because people at the show were doing like blue for boy and pink for girl within the deli. So there's like a visual reminder of...
Oh, that's kind of cool. I never thought of that.
The only problem is like it's a color sort of nightmare. If you're having some sort of color theme to have like...
Yeah, clashes with any kind of color theme.
And yellow I think is debatable unless you already had a yellow logo or something. Or maybe we're doing a spring chick theme or something to your table, and you're like, we're
Easter
yellow
theme
for fun, which would be fun.
We're gonna do that nasty plastic grass. Woohoo!
I think that would be really cute if someone wanted to overdo like seasonal themed decor to there, because this is like a pre-Christmas show, so it was like half Christmas, half reptile show.
Right.
So some people decorated their booths in a slightly Christmas fashion.
I was very Grinchy. Zero Christmas.
Isn't that weird? I'm surprised. Most people just rolled up with their normal display.
Yeah.
But some people rolled up with a normal display and added... I saw tinsel. I put bows on my stuff and Christmas lights. Kendra put up Christmas lights.
Your little bows were super cute. I was super jealous. I wish I had done that. Perfect. They were perfect.
Right. You can buy like a box of like 200 of those on Amazon for like $7. And I was like...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I wish I would have thought of that because it was darling.
It wasn't let's just say, spoiler alert, it did not lead to any sort of increased sales or something in any way. So it was cute. But was it worth it? We'll find out.
We'll find out.
So I prepped because I have 3 species primarily, or 3 like classes of animals. So I prepped ball pythons and corns in the morning on Friday, boas at night, corns and then like left them in their ambient temp areas of per species, so they would be separate, and then they were transported in on Saturday morning in separate bins.
Yeah, I saw that you had 1 bin per species. Or did you have your balls and corns together?
Yeah, the balls and corns were together because they're
fine together.
Babies together in their baby area. And this is like a theme that maybe is different from my table to your table. It's that because I have more species, I have more cross-contamination risk moving them to and from, touching, whatever. Like normally I would never touch a boa and then go touch any of my balls for any reason at any time.
Yeah, you always only touch balls and then boas. Right. And then you're done and shower and probably don't go back out to the snake.
I'm at a show, so like somebody wants to see a boa and somebody wants to see a ball. So I also have to wear gloves and switch gloves for half the show too. So we'll get into that. I was late waking up Saturday morning, so I arrived late. I guess Friday night, like
noticed.
pre-show prep went well for us. Did you put up your stuff? Well, you were gone by the time I got there.
Yeah, I almost didn't need to come that night. I probably could have just showed up on Saturday. I just feel better that there's less to do.
In the morning, in
So I can
case
just
you're
like show
late
up
or
and
something?
in case you're late, so you just go and you like throw up your animals. But I had all of the snakes in my display, my acrylic display, in the actual display, and that's how I was bringing them to the show. And so I didn't want to bring them to the show and leave them there, so I couldn't even bring that. So it seemed a little silly once I was there and I'd set up like 4 things and it looked like I hadn't set up anything, but it makes me feel better. So it was pretty quick, like less
It
than an
makes more
hour.
sense for like a dry goods vendor or
I don't know how they tear all that down in the evening after the show. Like it's so much.
yeah. Well, it looks like they have like a system, and like maybe half of it goes back into the trailer, still on the racks or whatever.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
like they're hanging
that's
goods or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we needed to go the first time either, but there was a little bit more going in for us because we had 3. Jana has a single table, and her earring buddy does the other table. Then I had a full corner.
And you had 3 different species that you were
Yeah.
trying to keep
Right.
separate safe.
So there was more lights, cords, cord management, plugging in, making sure there was enough cords on the floor. So we had a little bit more of a prep. So maybe I would still do it.
I'm super glad that I complained about how close all the tables were and that we got moved because we were like touching that other space too, and you and I were touching, and it was very like
Yeah, we
everything
wouldn't have
was
fit
touching.
even sort of our banners. To the
Well,
people
and it
at
was
home,
just
we're supposed
nice
to
to
have
have
10
the
foot by
extra.
10 foot space interior.
It was nice to have the extra walkway between us and the people who had the 15 different species all out and touching. And I kept trying to tell my family, like everybody was over there holding snakes, and I'm like, no one was listening. It was really frustrating.
Get into that. We had
Sorry.
some like proximity neighbors that were no
Who
names.
may or may not have even been vendors.
Oh no. And then another neighbor was a neighbor. Wasn't very happy about our placement. Let's just put it that way. I would greatly prefer if no snakes ever were in the aisleways, just like flopping around on various people surfaces. If somebody wants your snake to be handed to someone, then I think that should be in a controlled space, very close to your table. To me, I don't know. What do you think, Jana?
So I know that you don't support that I let people hold a particular snake, and I bring that snake for the purpose of letting people hold. And I respect that and understand your reasoning.
It's better now
but
that
it is
he
in a
goes
more
away.
controlled. It's like a controlled setting, like you just said. So it's like in front of my booth. I have them sanitize, they touch, and then I have them sanitize again. But this was like literally the snake was like crawling through my booth.
Yeah, that is
Crawling on top of tables. Like he kept setting her on the earring table and like, but they had a rainbow boa. Was that a retic?
There was at least one retic. There was, I think, another one and a smaller one in the bin and a really big one.
And then there was also like a red tail boa and something else. I can't remember what, but there was another one. And then it's like, it was making me nauseous.
Yeah.
Actually nauseous.
Yes.
I could not imagine how it was making you feel because I tend to be more laid back in general. And it was upsetting
you were
me.
closer to it. I wasn't happy about it. I don't want to pretend like I was. I was just trying to get through the day and think about all the snakes of my own that I had to euthanize after this was over because of our neighbor's behavior. it probably isn't going to be that bad. It's not like my snakes were out and about concurrently while his snakes were out and about, but none of this made me excited about the biohazard safety potential of how I could continue to do reptile shows. It's making it even harder. Like, I can understand, like, I'm having a sale with a customer, or there's a kid who wants to touch a corn snake for the first time, and they, whatever. But this is like someone else who's like flaunting his animals all over the universe. There's no choice in anybody else's in the matter. The choice was taken from me, and I don't know. Maybe I'm a crybaby. And
no, it was a little bit upsetting.
Yeah, and if you, since you're a little good handling guy that you have, your little plague rat, since he lives now with your friend, that's almost better, because then your friend is like, by definition, quarantining him away from your collection.
Every show, she's going to bring him, and he has his own enclosure in her son's room, and he's the only reptile in that room. They do have other reptiles, but he's the only one in that room.
Right. So that's an okay totally way to do a handling snake to me. I'm just like if a corn snake I had a problem laying eggs, like a female, and she was basically like deemed pet only, I could understand like putting up an enclosure somewhere, and that corn snake is now the handling corn snake for the show. And if it gets mites, it's okay. The mites didn't come back into general population. We can treat her. It's fine. If she gets crypto, then you're kind of a bad person. You've sort of willingly put your animal at risk. But maybe that's the name of the game. I don't know. This is all a little difficult for me to parse, because I can absolutely see how people want to buy snakes that they can touch first.
Mm-hmm.
But it's...
No, like, my whole table was at risk because my kids and parents and her kids and her were all touching all the things. And then he was, like, right next to us, and it's, like, crawling on the floor, and my kids were, like, wrestling with a retic.
Yeah, and that's not to, like, exclude the other people who were touching at other tables. But
right.
On top of that, we had another sort of neighbor who was fairly excited about having his snakes everywhere. It's just hard for me to parse, like, being very strict and feeling confident in my collection because I'm strict with going to the show, period. Right. Probably.
Yeah. So you're saying that you won't do it again?
I don't know. It's really hard for me because I also did extremely poorly in terms of sales. Or maybe just like, meh. I don't know. Maybe not extremely poorly, but just like, meh. So there's no, like, good job. We sold a bunch of stuff, so it made sense to put everything at risk.
Right.
I also just did sort of okay, which is maybe fine for, like, a new vendor. Like, you should be doing just okay. Maybe I was mean and depressed, so I scared people away. Did you mute yourself? No? Okay.
What?
No, you were stifling your laughter at me.
No, I was just doing a really good job. I was not muted.
Okay. Good job. I don't think I was mean and depressed, but I've come across much meaner and more depressed than I ever imagined at other times in my life, so you never know.
I don't think you came across mean and depressed. People are just... So we decided to be next to each other, and I was also selling ball pythons. And I am much more hands-on and out there and in your face and friendly and bubbly. And then I have Holly, who is like the Martha Stewart of the reptile shows. So even if I was like glaring in the corner, everyone adores her. So they all come up to see her pretty earrings, and then they're like, and she's like, "Ooh, snakes!" And so they just like drift naturally to my table. It's one of the main reasons that I adore her and I like sharing a booth. But it's like a natural, we're not competing with each other, but you and I are competing with each other, even though you do have several species. The ball pythons were
on the same row.
Which I understand why you did that, like that more of a safety
I'm
barrier
saving you
or whatever.
From gross boas.
So I understand why you set it up that way. I'm just saying that, like, a lot of my sales come from, here, do you want to hold a snake? And I let them hold
Yeah, I
Typhoid
know.
Mary. And then they're all excited. And then they look at their parents with their little doe eyes and they're like, fine, maybe we'll just hold one baby snake. And then you put this adorable little baby snake in their hands and they're like, see, it's perfect too. And then they
God.
leave with a snake.
Yeah, but
So
yeah,
I know.
it's fine. Like, to me, that the system is not designed for me. I think
Correct.
maybe I don't
So
know.
I don't think that you were like grinchy or unfriendly or depressed or angry over in the corner. I think you were friendly. I think that you respected your own boundaries and enforced them and you were authentic. But I don't think that it served you well. But I
No.
don't think that you were like scaring anybody away. You just didn't give people warm fuzzies and pat them on the head and send them on their way. But it wasn't
Yeah.
like, oh, she's mean, I don't like her. It was just like, oh, but she
Um,
didn't make me feel good about myself. You know what I
I
mean?
am
And
mean
that's what they
though.
want
Yeah.
to.
So that's
That's part of how
a
you
like
sell the snake.
a like check for never doing a show again is I'm going to tell people that their snakes are full of diseases and will die immediately, probably, eventually, in our conversation. And that's why they should buy this one. And nobody really wants to hear that, I don't think.
Mm-mm. Not at all.
Or like that they have to understand something new besides, I need to go get a tank and whatever.
Right.
The people who were like receptive to that were people who already had snakes and were like, I already had a bunch of stuff die. I'm glad that you test. Or they were a vendor from somewhere else who read my stupid little sign about testing and were like, you're the only person who I've ever seen who's ever had a sign about testing. Thanks. No, I didn't buy anything. So
But
like,
then I took your card for the future.
yeah, so like a high end, like it's on my almost like even more boutique of an experience. Is like the experience for someone who's already experienced a bad experience with a disease and a snake or something. So like I'm
Right.
almost too specific of a type to do shows, period, probably. I don't know. Like I still had fun and I actually like quite enjoyed Saturday when a bunch of people I've sold rats to like paraded by. It's like the parade of people who I've met in the last 2 years or
Yeah.
sold a snake to or whatever. That part was actually really fun.
Okay.
So that's why I'm like, I go back between like, I should set up a couch, 2 chairs, a Keurig machine, and brownies or something. I don't know. And I'll just sit there, hand out cards, and talk to people for 2 days.
Or also, like, you could bring a picture inventory of your stuff.
Yeah, or
Or
the
have that on your
podcast
screen.
mic and be like, 15 minutes between 2 ferns or whatever. Just like make a joke out of it.
Right.
And just like record people's feelings about reptiles or something and make like a compilation of funny things people have said and just hang out. To me, that feels probably maybe replaces the social aspect without adding anything extra.
Right.
Because I didn't sell that much anyway, so was it worth it? Go
You
ahead.
certainly purchased a lot.
Yeah. So like between my buddies, the people I already know, that I already trust their collections, happy to like go buy stuff from them. I sort of like the purchasing spree at the end was just like, I'm pretty depressed, so I'm just gonna go buy some stuff to make myself feel better. So this is like Sunday afternoon. I hadn't bought anything yet. I just like had browsed occasionally, and I'm like, Chris, we made this much. We're doing pretty poorly, so fuck it, let's go. So I bought some corns, and I bought a new species on Sunday, a broad-banded rat snake. So which sucked away like most of our earnings. I wasn't even going to call it profits. We didn't even scratch with that profitable threshold. That's okay. Let's get into... Did you split your sales up by day?
I did not. Normally I do, and normally I keep much clearer records, but it was so steady and there was so much chaos in my booth that it just fell through the cracks.
Yeah, you did have like 40 kids in your booth also. So
Oh
that
my
was
gosh,
interesting.
never again. Never again.
Because you had to like stop what you were doing with a person, a customer, and like yell at your kids.
Oh my gosh. And I had to do that in Portland too, which I think killed some of my sales because my kid was constantly like in my face yelling at me while I was talking to customers. So, yeah, I really didn't want to bring her. It's a long, long story of why she was there. And then Holly had to bring, she has 4 kids. Her husband recently broke his arm.
Oh no.
And so
No,
he did not
they were
feel,
pretty good, but they're just being kids. So
oh no, they were great for just sitting there feeling like they had nothing to do.
right,
They behaved greatly, but it doesn't mean it made it easy for me to conduct business
right.
or that it was an appropriate setting for the children to be in all day.
Yeah, it was probably pretty boring for them eventually.
Well, and then my kid got peed on and was like hysterical for the rest of the day.
Was she? I was on Sunday. I missed that part.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. She like was, yeah, she cried the whole way home. It was great.
Oh no. I didn't even notice. Tell her it was so okay that it didn't even seem like a big deal to me. Whatever happened.
Okay. Whatever happened, nobody noticed. That'll make
Yeah,
it feel
we're not.
great.
Because she seemed quite happy and chipper Saturday to be there.
I know, that's what I told her. I was like, next time just come one day. I think two days was too much for her.
Yeah.
Just because she wants to do what I'm doing and be me. And she wants to help and she wants to be helping. But she's also like 9 and not super outgoing and not super social. So it's like not easy for her to be out there like handing people snakes and feeling confident in herself.
Right.
But I also don't want to just be like, well, you can't come because you're 9 and you're not doing what I need you to do. I want her to grow and stretch herself, but also it's exhausting for me to have her there.
Yeah, one day sounds good. As a good
One day seems like
compromise.
a good compromise, yes. So I don't know. We'll see. She was pretty, like I said, she was pretty not over it. Like she wanted to be there, but she was like literally hysterical. So it's like, honey, I think you need to go home. And she wouldn't go home. My parents offered to take her home because she was pretty hysterical. And she was like, I'm not leaving. And so anyway, I don't know. One day sounds good.
So you just have
Did you
main
break
totals?
yours up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have total of snakes sold, total price or
All right,
prop,
go for
not
that,
profits,
and then
but
I'll break it down, I guess, or something.
gross income. What net income? What's the
I don't know,
overall?
whatever you did.
Okay, I sold 25 snakes.
Mostly babies, or mostly subadults, or in between.
A variety.
Okay.
The oldest one I had on my table was 2014, but then most everything else was um between 2 months and a yearish. 15 of those were male, so mostly males, but I did sell a bunch of girls. And then we brought in about 5K. So overall, I'm happy with all those numbers.
Good job. Did you feel like the crowd was less or the same or more than either of the other two shows?
So the crowd felt more constant on day 2. Normally it's much quieter and dead on day 2, especially in the afternoon. And this felt constant both days. Normally Saturday
It's weird
morning.
you say that. I totally disagree.
Oh, you totally disagree? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Saturday morning, normally it's like chaotic and like a madhouse.
Right.
And I didn't feel like it was this time.
It was, but I've seen it worse. Like the show I went to in 2019, I think was maybe because it was it was a smaller venue. That one was literally like kicking old ladies out of the way to make us like a path in your aisle or whatever.
I also did not care for the way they had things set up this time as opposed to in July.
The little pods.
So they always do little pods, which I like and I appreciate. I think that's great. But they had like 20-foot aisles and everything was like super spaced out. And
Yeah,
they
that's because they
had,
like opened the back room.
and they opened the back room and it made that building so cold. Normally it's not cold like that, or maybe that's just natural temperature
Yeah,
of
I think that might have
outside.
been the summer temp.
So that's how it feels inside. It was so cold in the building.
It was cold. It made me uncomfortable to leave the snakes overnight, even if we had liked our neighbors' number of mites or whatever. So I did take them home. Like I physically took them home.
I wanted to leave them, and I've always taken them in the past, and I was hoping to leave them, and then you were like, "It's too cold," and I was like, "Dang it, you're
Yeah, it's too
so
cold for
right."
me. Like when we weren't like actually working and walking around, I needed to wear a sweatshirt to
Yeah, it
stay.
was freezing. I was
Yeah,
freezing, and normally I'm sweating through my shirt within the first 2 hours of the
right.
day.
Do you feel like the number of sales per day were the same between Saturday and Sunday? Number of individuals or whatever metric you want to
So I
use.
always feel like I sell more on Saturday than I do on Sunday, but this time it's felt pretty equal, which is really weird. So normally I do about twice as many sales Saturday. Um, and this time was really, like I said, it was so even paced the whole show, which never happens for me. Um, like the Portland show, I sold like 13 snakes, and 10 of them were on Saturday, and 3 of them were on Sunday. And then in July, I sold, I think, about 30 snakes, and 20 of them were the first day, and about 10 were the second day. So this time I think that it was pretty even, like, but I didn't actually track. So I can't verify that, but I was selling snakes all day, both days.
Okay, mine was patently different. I sold the most on Saturday.
Okay.
2 boas and 1, 2, 3, 4 ball pythons. But one of them I sold to Carter, which I think is sort of cheating because Carter might have bought it. Carter buys rats for me, everybody. So he could have been eyeing that snake anyway. So the show may or may not have played a role in his.
Get over the edge.
Yeah, so like maybe it did, but it almost feels like that's not the show's sale.
You would have made the sale anyways, what you're trying to
Maybe,
say.
yeah. Or eventually, I would have tricked him into it. Easy.
Yeah.
So 2 boas and 4 ball pythons. Wowee.
That's depressing a little bit.
No animal on any day over $250 of any kind.
Whoa.
I'd only sold 5 rat sales ever. No bunnies.
No bunnies.
No
I'm
bunnies.
shocked by that.
Well, I saw 5 rat sales on Sunday. I think 2 more people bought another bag of rats on Sunday or on Saturday. Saturday was 5. There was 2 more on Sunday. But it was not a good rat show. I would not bring rats back again based on that. Unless I was
I'm
like,
glad that I didn't end up
I
bringing
have
rats.
a million smalls, weans, and pups, which I never do. Because that's what people want.
Nobody ever does. That's what people wanted from me
Right.
too. They're like, so you selling it? They wanted you to be selling it, but you weren't. And then they were mad that I wasn't selling it. And that's what I had considered purchasing some to resell at the show, and I just ran out of time. But
I considered like taking what was in my freezer and repackaging it and selling it just as like a convenience. But there's literally no margin there. Even if you're buying it slightly cheaper online and repackaging it, the labor of repackaging it, you're literally just doing it to make people happy, not because
right,
it's a
not for a
good
profit.
business
Right.
choice. So I did repackage some medium mice the Saturday night to bring Sunday morning. If someone literally bought a snake and was like, "What does it eat?" I was like, "Here's 5 medium frozen mice for $5." But only one person even took me up, and the people who said they were going to come back didn't even come back.
Yeah, I didn't know you had medium mice, or I would have sent people because I thought you just had
Well, I didn't
medium
promote it
and
because I
large.
only wanted to sell it to people who like were just buying a snake
Okay,
or
okay.
whatever. Because people
I
would
wasn't
probably
sending people to you for mice.
Yeah, no, I didn't bring a lot. I just brought like
Okay.
5 bags of 5. Unless someone was like, I literally don't understand mice. Glacier rodents was way over in the corner, and I think people didn't even know where they
couldn't find
were.
them, and so I was like, they're here somewhere, and people were like, wow, that was helpful. You just sold me something that I don't know how to feed, and you're like, go look around.
Yeah,
But it's literally like they could be anywhere in the region. Am I supposed to know all the rat suppliers in the region? Like, is that my responsibility as a seller? I don't know, is it? Like, I really don't.
I don't know. And even if you sold them 5, how long is that going to get them? They still need to go find a rat supplier wherever they live.
Right.
Or a pet store, or order from Rodent Pro if they start to have 400 snakes. Or whatever they're going to do.
Correct.
So the rat sales was pretty not good. I don't know. I don't have a good explanation for that. It turns out if you buy dry ice 2 days before, most of the dry ice for the second day is gone in a conventional freezer by the second day.
Interesting.
So you have to buy it each day. It's just not cold enough in a conventional freezer. And I knew that. So I was like, hopefully enough is left. But the second day's dry ice was almost all gone I bought it Friday night. And then, so you'd have to buy it each morning, preferentially, for super crispy.
That sounds lame.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, unless we become a different kind of business, a rodent-based business, I either won't bring anything or... Because a lot of people are like, I need medium mice. And they're like, where are you? And then sometimes it'd be like, here's the price list on the website. If you just message, we can see what you need. But I don't really want to be in the rodent business. And we've already talked about this.
Oh, you hate it. It makes you want to pull your hair out.
So I'm
someone one rodent a week.
Yeah, I'm happy to have people with me as their like backup if they need 20 frozen whatever sometime, but I'm not in the business of adding 20 new 1 or 2 rodent customers. I think that's what all of these people were though. So and then I was looking at Chris, I'm like, should we even be telling them this? I don't even know.
No.
Yeah. So
no, I wouldn't be telling people that because that's not, you just, when you laid it out in the rodent video, the rodent podcast, if you haven't listened to that one, please go listen to it after you're done listening to this.
Oh yeah, welcome to new listeners who maybe heard about us on the whatever. Forgot that.
Oh yeah, if you found us at the reptile show, comment. They can comment, right?
Not really. On the YouTube, they can.
On the YouTube, comment, say hi, say you're new here. Yeah, I don't want to be a rodent, and you made it sound like it was the worst thing ever and sucked out your soul and made you doubt why you have a master's degree.
Yeah, it isn't the worst thing ever, but you don't get into breeding snakes to breed rodents, I'm pretty sure. And then people are like, I need you to deliver or ship. I'm like, none of you know anything about the economies of what's going on here. They're like, I need 2 rat pups delivered. How much would that cost? $100.
A week.
Yeah. Because Chris was like, if you have he was trying to explain to people, like, if they have a big order, Chris goes to work on base. He could occasionally drop something off. And so people misconstrued that to be like, Chris will drop off 2 rat pups to you every week.
For $1.
Yeah. For like the normal price.
Not happening.
And so I had to like interfere and be like, what's your order though? And they're like, 2 rat pups. And I'm like, sorry, we would literally never even meet you for 2 rat pups. Like my meeting amount is like $50. If you want a curbside pick up a single medium on a time that's convenient for me, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. Nope.
So I'm almost...
Not for me.
Like after this weekend, I'm almost like, should I take the price list off the website?
Have
sell
a
all the mediums
order
to Jana and still sell to Carter and Evan, and then find a pet store to take like the true overflow.
Yes.
As a live, and wholesale it to a pet store. And I think that's...
Well, if you're going to be talking to the one in Snohomish, you should ask them.
Yeah, I will.
They want.
I need to make a list of pet stores. My big reservation about selling to any pet store is that means I have to physically walk into a pet store, which is a biohazard risk. So I have to
You can't just come straight home and get in the shower.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I should do that every time. I did that every day at this show. It's really irritating to have to like get naked in your laundry room and wash all your clothes over and over again. It's fine.
Well, you're not delivering daily, are you?
No,
Isn't it
I
like
know.
a weekly
No,
or
it's
monthly
fine.
delivery?
Yes, it sort of has to happen if I'm going to continue not killing myself. So
That's really funny. See, I live in 1,000 square feet. Sometimes I get naked and I have to walk from my bedroom to my laundry room, which is in my garage. So
I don't mind it, but like,
embrace it. Embrace it.
we have neighbors, and they're not always walking their dog, but sometimes they might be, and that like
How do you have neighbors that can see you? You're like on
my
5 acres.
nice retired neighbors, they walk their dog along our like shared fence line, so they can look back into the house from the woods, which sounds weird, but. So
That sounds really creepy.
doing weird stuff in the like any of the back windows, that's how you can be seen.
Well, maybe you just made that old guy's day. You don't know.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. That's probably fine. Yeah, so I'm strongly considering. I would have to be like convinced to bring rodents again, of any size. Because it takes up space.
I'm strongly considering bringing like five, like I said, like 5 packs or 4 packs for customers, but like it wouldn't be a profitable thing. It would be an extra thing I have to do and at least break even on as a convenience for the customer because they seem aggro that I am not providing them with a food source.
Yeah. Yes.
But I haven't decided if I want to take that on because I feel like once I take it on, it's expected.
Right, but what if they're like, well, and then I need to buy it next month, and then you're like, I have
maybe
some,
I just need
but I don't really want to sell it to you anymore, and so
I just need to message Glacier Rodents and ask them if they could bring extra business cards and if I could have them on my table at the show.
Yeah, or like check that like table map in the beginning. Because they were like over in the corner and being like, they were literally like,
I couldn't see their
corner.
sign anywhere, and I didn't get a big chance to walk around because there was a lot of chaos happening.
Yeah. Like I sent people other people's table for Cocoa Blocks. If you were in the business of making rats and mice, you'd probably do pretty good selling, small rats, rat pups, rat weens, and mice, pinky mice. But not me. Especially here where the cost of labor is insane. Like we've already gone over this 10 times. Like I'm not sure how Glacier Rodents makes money. And they're just more expensive than mine already. So do I want to raise my prices to like my buddies to like make it actually make sense at scale and like match Glacier's prices?
I have no idea if they have good prices. I've never tried to buy from them.
They're slightly more expensive than me, but not by like a ton.
Your prices are a little bit low. You might consider raising them.
Well, they were low because I live in the woods and someone would have to drive.
Right. So you have better prices, but you're an hour and a half from me. And so I pay more if I go to Silverdale to Morph Mechanics. I pay more per rat, but it's less time for me. So sometimes that's more convenient. But your prices are the lowest prices in the area.
Yeah. I did that on purpose. I'm not quite the lowest area at the large sizes, but I don't really want to sell the large sizes. It's fine if I feed them to my boas. Like I don't make so many that my boas can't absorb them. So I let the large prices rise a little bit. I don't know. The rat business doesn't make any sense to me, and I'm not sure how it works still to this day. Like the right way to do it. Obviously, you can have a whole business correctly with just rats.
There's a YouTuber that hasn't YouTubed in a while, and he talks all about the rat business and how he's a ball python breeder, but then he was making like a substantial income before COVID, selling rats around to pet stores and stuff, and he was making like 50,000 a year doing that.
Yeah, there's absolutely the demand to have a full business, but then you're making $40,000 or $50,000 worth of rats.
Yeah, it's not something I want to do at all. I'm just saying I think that there are ways you can do it if you're wanting it to be profitable and having bigger.
Also, was he in the South?
Rather than the 1 and 2.
That's like my question.
No, he's in not Ellensburg, Yakima.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's better.
Yeah, so that is a consideration I thought of bringing mice to frozen thawed mice to the show.
It would probably be
Um,
fine, but I think a net wash. I would never do anything that, like, made it a lot more work for you. And without a running freezer, the like dry ice issue is sort of an issue. Even
yeah.
in a really nice cooler with a lot of like thermal inertia inside because there's a lot of rabbits.
Did you sell any snakes that were live feeders? I sold 0 live feeders.
I saw one where the person wanted it to be a live feeder for some reason. No, wait. Hold on. Yeah, the adult. I moved one adult male that I've been trying to move for a while. Which maybe this is like the best reason to go to a show. It's like moving larger animals is more economical locally.
Yes.
So like you could price them quite low instead of building in all that extra overhead for the shipping box and stuff being $20.
I agree.
I moved them. I had them on Morph Market for $200 just to like compensate for the cost of the shipping because my flat rate shipping is $65. It probably would have been $120 to ship them. But at the show I could price him for $150, and he sold for $150 to someone who wanted to breed him. And he's been sitting around here for a long time trying to get sold, like a year. So if you just want to offload adults, the show's a good way to do that to me.
My adults always sell first, actually, Saturday morning.
That makes sense because people who are wanting to be breeders are looking for animals that are ready to breed. And at the show, they're pretty cheap relative to their Morph Market price.
Oh, for sure.
Almost cheaper. Like the relative price difference is almost cheaper than a baby relative price difference.
Correct.
So then you can like, if you know you're getting ready to get rid of a bunch of females as you upgrade, that would be a good time to do a show too. Like maybe I would do that next fall or something. I don't know. But he was a live only feeder. But every baby was frozen thawed.
I have a couple that I haven't been able to convert that have been to 3 shows now and not sold.
It might be pet store time. I don't know.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that I was able to get one acrylic display, and then I had my other display that I don't love, that my darling husband built exactly how I asked him to. But I don't love it, even though it's exactly what I asked for. So not through his fault, just mine. Now that I understand shows a little better and the functionality of it is what I need exactly. I sold most of my animals out of my display. And so, like, as it was emptying, I was noticing that I was selling more out of my display. So I wasn't at first refilling it, but I did. I did start refilling it.
Is it because your acrylics don't have a light?
Do you mean like the light was taking away from sales?
No, your acrylics don't have an overhead light, and the light inside of the box is lighting the animals up.
So I sold most of mine out of the acrylic.
Oh, I thought you meant
Not
they sold
out of my
the
display.
box.
No,
Oh, okay.
My acrylic was selling most of my animals. And as it was emptying, I was taking animals out of deli cups and putting them in the empty spots but I hadn't at first. And then I realized those were the only ones that were selling. And so
Is it because
I don't know.
dumb people can like lay on it and like look at it like barbarians?
They can like press their face against it. I don't know. I've always done deli cups. This is the first time. I had the acrylic display at the last show, but I didn't use it. I just used the stands and put deli cups on the stands. I starred all the snakes that sold from the display, and it like 20 out of 25 were in the display.
That's a hot take. I don't know why, but maybe there's something about that shape that's more appealing or whatever. I thought you meant it the other way, like the other one was better. Maybe they just look like jumbled up. No, not to be mean, but there's something about them like sort of laying sort of in
like, yeah,
that looks like, different or weird to dumb monkeys. I don't know.
I don't know, but I did not open that very often.
So weird.
So weird. And the things on the table sold more than what was selling. It was bizarre. It was a bizarre show, but you can't predict You just every show is different. It's crazy. You just don't know. You don't know what's going to happen.
Okay.
But I think that I will, if I can, I think that I will wholesale anything that's not a het female and all my males. So I don't even know if I'll have anything to go to the next show, but I do not want to continue to
keep a fourth time to a show for a...
Correct.
Yeah.
Like they've all had an opportunity. Although there's one male that I will keep because if he stays, I'm fine with that. The GHI and She Lesser double het, who did not sell, which was shocking.
I saw him get out
a lot.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. He was held a lot. And a lot of people liked the way he looked. And then I sold all but one of my albino clutch. And the Portland show, no one even looked at them. No one wanted anything to do with them. And this time, those were the hot item.
Maybe the albinos were just always a hot item. It was just a weird show or something. Or they didn't notice it because it wasn't in the acrylic. It was in the display.
I didn't have acrylic at the last show. So maybe acrylic is the way to go. Maybe that's why everybody uses acrylic. I don't know.
I don't know either. Did you see like any of the other displays that you thought maybe you wanted that version of it instead of acrylic? Did you walk around enough to see other types? There were many types on display.
I really liked your corn snake display with the deli cups and the cutouts.
Okay.
But there was like no obnoxious lid in the way, and yours don't fall down as you take one out like mine do.
Those are pretty cheap. Like they don't cost $1 billion because it's just like a piece of PVC with holes in it.
Correct.
And your husband could make that out of wood with the right
so
size.
We discussed making it like that. He could do that to the one I have, or take the top off, or we could retrofit it, or he could make me a totally new one. That's totally possible. But I liked that for deli cups, but also with like the huge success that I had with the acrylic, I am considering just getting a second acrylic and only having the surplus animals on the table in delis, and as the acrylic empties. Because most
you don't think you want your own corner next time? I'm talking like next time you have a big batch of ball pythons, like by the end of
the next July show. I really like having a booth with her. Like I said, I think it draws a different kind of traffic over to me because
I don't think you should not have a booth with her. Just like you have a corner, and then you buy a single
getting
for her.
A third table.
Yeah.
And having me have two tables and her having the other piece of the corner.
What I'm saying is, if we do it, we should just like take over the entire island.
Like, yes.
And we could bring like the corn snake people onto the island because they're all like clean and nice, and they wouldn't be competing with your ball pythons or my ball pythons, but they're all normal people that are wholesome. No Niro coming from over there.
I may have to specifically ask to not be put next to a certain person again, because that's the second show that I've been put next to him.
What? Yeah.
And it's a little stressful for me.
It's a little stressful for me too.
So I don't love that.
And it might be just because you haven't complained yet.
I'm sure. And what's interesting is the July show, they had him way in the back corner all by himself.
Right.
And so
I think there was a whole dry goods vendor on the other side, which would have been fine-ish of him.
Yeah, so I almost complained prior to this show, but I was like, no, they're not going to stick me next to him twice. And then they did. So I don't know, what's a girl to do? I mean, there are vendors that get like the back wall.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they just have like straight tables. Did you see them like by the bathrooms and stuff?
Yeah, I think they asked for that so they can like roll in specific sort of inventory. Oh, you mean the ones that have just like one table of arachnids by the bathroom? That one?
Yeah, but he had two tables, just like a corner would be, and then no one was touching him.
Yeah, maybe he asked for that. Maybe that's something we can ask for.
I'm sure. I mean, they're very friendly and very accommodating, and I just don't know how to get like. I want to just not be touching people. I'm sure I could ask and that would happen. But I definitely do want to keep Mesa Terra at my table because I think we both draw in for each other. I think it's a mutually beneficial situation for us.
Mm-hmm.
And also, when I don't have a whole club of people in my corner,
You had a lot of
then
people.
we can go pee and
Right.
stuff.
Yes.
Um, and we both know each other's little spiel. So I just like the dynamic of that. And so I'd like to continue to do that, but I'm not opposed to more tables or if I need them. Like I don't even know if I'll have anything for the April show, but
Like, I don't know if you noticed, but it looked to me like there was like a Morelia segment to that island. So Kendra and Evergreen and one of Kendra's friends, they were all like in a little U shape. They did have some stuff on their back end that was not related. Like, I don't think Cascades asked to be in that island with them.
uh-huh.
But it was obviously like 3 people had asked to be together, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how the inners work. I know that we asked and we got it, so I'm sure that everybody's afforded that. I don't know.
Yeah, you just need to get enough people, and then you have your own island, or you ask to be on a bathroom door wall. I just don't know how well like each location does. Particularly, I didn't mind our location relative to the front door. Like we were relatively close to the front. You were likely to walk past ours and before shopping necessarily.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily know if location matters.
I think way in the back maybe is bad.
Maybe bad. But I have yet to have a location where I felt like the location was affecting my sales.
Okay.
In Portland, I think there was like a lot, like people were buying ball pythons and there were a lot of ball python vendors. I think I just wasn't making the sales. I think other people were though.
But you were still selling your dolls.
My adults flew out the door the first day,
Right, but you didn't
but
sell a lot of babies.
I
Is that
didn't
what you're
sell
saying?
almost any babies. Yes, and so but people were buying baby ball pythons at the show, just not for me. If that makes
But you
sense.
don't know why.
I don't know why. I don't know what magic. So I heard a rumor that Puget Sound pythons did really well at the Portland show. Like, wow, well at the Portland show. And now they don't get me wrong, they have some really awesome stuff, and they had a lot of pies and other things that sell well that are higher price point. But I'm not saying that everyone did terrible at the Portland show. I think that might have just been me.
Okay. Yeah, like if someone could bring pies, banana pies, albinos,
I tried.
blue-eyed Lucy's, visual clowns, even if they're just normal. And a couple people be like, "Do you have any visual clowns?" I'm like, "No." Visual desert ghost, and maybe like the weird stuff like lessers. Like as far as your cheap stuff, but it was still bright. Lessers.
GHI and anything sounds good.
No, false. 100% false.
False?
Yeah. I had 2 GHIs on my table, $100. I had to like trick someone into buying one of them. He wanted to buy a leopard instead. I'm like, what are you breeding it to? He's like a mystic yellow belly something. I'm like, GHI, what's wrong with you? You'll make something that looks like a GHI Mojave that's, especially with yellow belly, it'll stretch it all out real good. It'll be just as good. And he's like, oh, but it's $20 more. No, I didn't sell no GHI effect at all. They didn't even notice it was in there.
I was really surprised. Normally, I don't sell my expensive stuff. Normally, everything I sell is like under 200. And I sold almost every expensive ball python on my table.
Do you think every expensive ball python on your table was a pretty color to a new person? Like a banana combo or...
Well, one was a banana pied, so everyone loves those. And then my 11 million gene het G-stripe boy that I've taken to 3 shows and hasn't sold. He sold, but he had banana in him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think your big stuff in the acrylic, a lot of it, when I walked by early on, looked colorful and big-ish, you know, because you put your bigger stuff in there. So it was all banana things, or was there pastel things in there?
There was 2 fireflies in there.
Yeah, so that's like yellowy black. They look like shit eventually, but at that 2, 3, 400 gram size.
I was going to say they were in their second prettiness.
Yeah. So it might not have been the price tag at all, but like it's such a pet market that it's literally all about the appearance of the animals and not even the price per se. What was the most expensive animals you sold? Do you remember?
The Million Gene Het G-Stripe. I took him to the last show for 1,000 and he didn't sell. And so this show I had him only as 850, which is like half of his morph market value. But he sold at 850. And then that Paradox. The Paradox, he was banana too.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
So all of my bananas sold.
It almost like behooves you maybe to just make, if you want to sell at the show, make banana fodder combos that are enough extra genes that they become more expensive. But then, because I had things that I think are good purchases, but that are
you
not.
had good stuff for like breeders and stuff,
right? But nobody
better stuff on your table that I did,
right?
And nobody cared. Yeah,
no. I had a snake that really should be 1,500, priced at like 950, a boa morph. It's like, wasn't
he in shed though?
No, that was 2,500. I didn't expect him to sell per se, but like the one that I like dropped price on, he is a one copy of an incomplete dominant gene that's like automatically at least $700. You could breed him to any female next year and make mini copies.
$700 a pop.
Nobody was even sort of interested in a fire of any kind from any male, even though they're like big and would breed next year if they're kept on like not a fast trajectory, but just a normal. I didn't like underfeed them the way most boa people do for their baby stock, where they feed them every 3 weeks or whatever to keep them small the whole time. All the boas, the only things that sold were things that were the very cheapest, no matter what they looked like. If they were cheap, they sold. It didn't matter if they were nice or not nice, or
I had a lot of $60. I had a lot of $60 balls on my table that didn't sell, which was shocking to me because usually those guys go fast.
Yeah, I had 3 $50 normal het clown males, or maybe 4, and all the leopards I made $70. The GHIs were 100 het clown. So that's like their normal price. Most of those didn't sell without a lot of like torture of the people involved. And I sold a male het. Somebody came by. I was like, she was working the front table, and she's like, I wanted to see whatever. And I'm like, do you want it for $20? So I sold her one for $20. I was like, just take it.
I was about to start just handing out ball pythons at the end.
Yeah, and I dropped prices on stuff like an hour or two before, but I really think we should do what that hognose vendor did, where like there's a bin, or you set aside a special spot.
I need
and
to
like, this whole
that
container is 50% off starting at noon on Sunday, and it's all like the stuff that's truly male ball pythons mostly. I didn't sell any corn snakes. Is none of them. And that sort of boggles my mind, but here we are. $50 corn snake.
And that Miami Tessera was so pretty. So pretty.
It probably didn't help that they were in like a smaller deli, so it was harder to see more of them. But they're really big animals now because I've been feeding them for 6 months.
I don't know the magic answer.
I don't either. But that's what's sort of interesting in talking about it, is like what makes
that
sense at each show
section. I need to do that. And I haven't done that at any of the shows that I've been to, and I regret it every show.
Yeah, because there's animals that like you really don't need them to come home per se.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
I just want them to go to a home that someone's going to feed them and not neglect them. I don't necessarily need to be paid for them. I would just like to not continue to feed 12 het male pieds,
Yeah, my problem is I came home with so many animals, like I don't even have enough return quarantine space for them. So I have like, heat pads with bins floating around everywhere because not putting them back in their racks they came from with animals that are still clean. So like everyone had to go into quarantine. But I came home with so many, I can't even accommodate
What you
all of
came
the
home with.
re-quarantine space. This is why, like, maybe I shouldn't do this. Because I would need to keep double the amount of baby hatchling space in the case of bad shows that must sit empty waiting for babies to come back. And I had to move my other quarantine into here, the office. So, like, my clowns, because they can't be mixed with the stuff that just came back from the show. So there was, like, a lot of shit happening last night where I was sort of fipronilling everyone, but not touching bows and balls, moving racks.
I can't even imagine what that was like last night.
And that's another reason why if I do it, I might not bring a whole class of animal just to make it easier.
Yeah, because you could just leave your boas at home and bring a picture book of for sale boas, couldn't you?
Or even the balls too. Fuck them. It's not like they sell that well or something. If I have a really good colubrid season, I might just come with hognose and corn snakes that are colorful.
Okay.
In July and not bring anything else. And just say, like, if you want a bow or a ball, they're on the website. So that when they re-quarantine back in, it's not a 3 to 4 hour procedure with sanitization between. There's F10 flying everywhere.
Clothes flying everywhere.
I can't touch, and so I had to work the balls.
Meanwhile, did you have a baby clinging to you?
Yeah, because he's like, I haven't seen you all day. I want to love you. And you're like, fuck, go away.
I literally had one on each leg. And I'm like, I just need to get these guys put away.
Even my cat wanted to have attention again. I'm like, you need to get the hell out of here. You're the most beautiful animal in the world, but fuck off.
No, yeah.
No, and I chose to fipronil everyone, but it's might have killed the corn snakes. Who knows? I'll have to go check them today. I diluted it, but the small-bodied, thin-skinned stuff does not tolerate being
treated
prophylactically. Like, you should do it if it's a crisis. But we were beside such fun friends.
Such fun friends.
So fun.
Fun friends that have tiny, tiny little friends.
Even more like friends. So I did do everyone. But I'm not particularly happy that I had to do that to the little colubrids. And I did not do the bamboo rats because I'm pretty sure that would kill them because they live in dirt and they have really thin skin. So they would just like suck up all the poison. So I'll check them in 2 or 3 weeks, see what happened. Yeah, so stuff like that, like the post-show, like, not only were we like 2 adults labor. My husband vended with me, by the way. Good job, Christopher. He was a real MVP of the show.
He enjoy himself, or did he hate it a lot?
I think he thought it was okay. And he was a trooper about it and pretended to be happy and stuff.
So say he wasn't complaining when you weren't there, so that's good.
No, he was in the Marines. He knows how to take it up the butt, and with a smile.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just be like, okay, I'll get to do grunt manual labor. But he would have wanted to stay home and play Halo. So I asked a lot from him, and he met my ass. Thank you, Christopher. Love you. Long time.
He was awesome.
But,
I will take 3 of him.
Yeah, but like I couldn't even like deliver, profitability over the expenses of the weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that like I don't even know if we even gave out 100 cards, but hoping we did. And if we did, that there will be like lead on sales afterwards that will justify the expense. But I sold, let me check my notes, $1,333 of snakes, rats, and Christmas ornaments. I did sell 2 Christmas ornaments, but I didn't sell that many.
I would be very angry about that if that's how I had done, and it would have felt like a waste of time for me.
Yeah, I'm somewhere between like, I tried something new, and it was probably not for me, and
I would have
incredibly disappointed. Like, I go back and forth.
See, I did twice that at the Portland show and was angry.
All right. Well,
I mean, you're also subtracting like what you took you to get there. So I guess I made about what you made at the Portland show, but I was very frustrated with that. Because you have
No.
to pay for hotel and you have to travel. And so it was like, but I,
Yeah, and a lot of people are like, vendors shouldn't complain about bad shows or whatever.
why not?
Well, I mean,
Why
people are
not?
like, people complain about bad shows and then they have a really good show the next show or whatever. Like, you'll never predict. So you shouldn't be allowed to like comment on your own success. But I didn't sell anything over 250. So the sales we made were just like incremental small sales, which is totally fine. But I also didn't sell a lot of the cheap stuff to like open up bin space to justify it that way.
For next year, yeah. Which was my whole intent on going is I needed bins.
Yeah. That would have been great. Like if somehow every snake under 250 had sold everyone, that would have sort of justified it right there. Even if it like the total amount sold was the same.
Correct. I was not shooting for a dollar amount. I was shooting for a quantity of snakes sold.
Right. So you didn't have to go like find a wholesaler leading into next
I mean, I
season.
do. I still do, but
Right.
I'm not unhappy with the number that I did sell. But I would have preferred to have sold all the $50 ones.
No, yeah.
And I'm sure that if I had done like a 50% off section for half this day, that I would have made a larger number of snake sales. I think that would have been appealing to people. And I think so.
So Chris and I were talking on the morning because I was already disappointed with the sales on Saturday. And I was like, Sunday's going to be worse.
It's always worse. Yeah.
So like, and then on Sunday, we only sold two snakes all day.
That's how I was in Portland, and I wanted to stab my eyes out and cry. It was miserable.
Yeah, that's why I started to like wander around and got into shenanigans with some purchases.
Every time I turned around to talk to you, you were gone.
Yeah, I bought a creeping fig to put in the Japanese rat snake.
Oh, cool.
And I bought powder blue isopods for that one. I was just all over the place. I was over at JMG's table. Like the animals that I'd wanted on Saturday had already sold by Sunday, so I would have probably bought a hognose too.
I went over. I wanted to make it over there, and I never did.
Oh my god, they're so cute when they're like really little. It was obnoxious. It is absolutely
and
obnoxious.
He had like all the pretty colors and all the PACNWRS. Did he have a lavender?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he had a
I feel better.
lavender female combo that was like $275 because he was only eating live. That was the one I was considering buying because it fit.
He had one that was like hot pink the first day.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I guess we should talk about this. JMG Reptiles isn't a local. He flew in to vend. He brought leopards.
Did you ask him how he did the second day?
No, I didn't talk to him the second day. When I went over there the second day to see if that snake had sold, it was his buddy watching his table.
Okay.
Not him, and I didn't get to talk to him again. But I went and talked to him at the end of Saturday to see how he was doing, and he said he didn't think he was doing that well, but it was okay. Like, he had made enough to justify the trip. But then and then I was like, this is like a super pet show, so I'm like, surprised you're doing okay, but good job. Then I walked away, and then you heard him.
Literally, I think I walked up. You must have walked away like a minute before I got there. Because you were talking to Puget Sound, because we were kind of going around together like a little bit. And then you were talking to Puget Sound Pythons, and I jumped over to Bad Reptiles table.
Yeah.
And I think you went over to JMG. So then I must have like just done my little loop around Bad's huge.
Right.
They buy out their whole section. And then I went over, and he was literally talking to the lady working, and he was outside of his booth, and he was running his mouth like pissed.
Well, maybe I like triggered him a little bit because he seemed okay. I literally asked him and he told me numbers, which I won't share here, but they sounded okay. Like the cost of coming. And,
So yeah, the numbers you told me where I was like, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. So, but for him, because he's flying in and shipping in, snakes are a little more expensive. But
yeah.
But he was more mad when Jana was hearing him talking later on. I wonder how.
Oh yeah, he was going to have words with whoever had recruited him to come.
And then he came in really late on Sunday, like after opening.
I know. I went over there when VIP came in, and I wanted to look at his hognoses, and his whole table was empty. and
Yeah.
no one was there.
I thought he was not coming back, but he did come back
I
eventually.
thought
He
that
just
too.
came in at like 10:45 or something. He was just pissed or something. I don't know. Didn't feel like
Rolled on in after a night of fun, huh?
Yeah. Gotta spend that
Yeah,
hog
so
nose
I never
money.
did get a chance to make it back over to look at his hoggies.
Yeah, I went back
I
over.
really wanted to sneak a hog nose home.
Probably could have. There were some that were like if you did you want a female or a male as a pet?
I would have gotten a female just in case later I changed my mind.
Right. Well, there weren't very many females to begin with on Saturday because that's just how it goes, you know. But there
Yeah,
were still
everywhere.
some by Saturday afternoon. I think the like high red albinos were still there. Females.
He had some really pretty ones, some really flashy ones. I don't know if they were male or female. When he was like really mad, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, sorry, I'm gonna walk away." I go back to my booth. I'm sorry if our show sucks.
Yeah. Obviously people are buying snakes there and making money there and selling snakes there. But
Something that really bothered me about this show is they started their new VIP thing. That didn't bother me. What bothered me was that they gave them lanyards that looked exactly the same as vendors. And most people don't care when they throw their lanyard on. And so they were on the backs, which had the sponsors. So you couldn't tell if someone was VIP or a vendor. So they should at least do like another colored lanyard or something.
Did a VIP come to you to get a discount the morning?
I didn't offer a discount because I thought they were only doing the weekend getaway 750 VIP
right, but
package.
did they still ask you? Like if a VIP had asked me in the morning, I probably would have been like 10% or whatever. Even though I also didn't sign up.
Single person asked me about VIP.
Okay.
But it was so, like I said, it was so hard to tell if the people walking around, because normally you can tell who a vendor is and you can tell who isn't a vendor, and it was really difficult to tell. And I didn't want to like act like I didn't know who people were, because I don't. And so that was frustrating to me that I couldn't tell because most of their badges were flipped. So I'm sure that Jeff isn't listening, but if he is, can they just have a different color?
Yeah.
I have no idea what goes into putting on a show, so I shouldn't hate or anything. It was a bit confusing for me.
Yeah, but nobody asked you, so it was like a net neutral anyway.
Yeah. I mean, if they do it next show, I would participate. I just didn't understand what was happening.
Right, they didn't tell us that they were downgrading to just $50.
Which is great. I think that was smart and brilliant and exactly how they should have done it. But I thought they were doing the big, weird, stupid getaway that I didn't think anyone would buy. Any thoughts other than that?
Let me check my notes. I still haven't gotten a FedEx notification for my Dreamco displays, so that's cool. They'll be here sometime this decade.
This decade, maybe they'll be here in time for the next show by the time you've decided that you don't want to do it. If you decide you don't ever want to do a show again, though, hit me up for those displays.
Okay. I'm not sure what to do, really. I will give it time, but...
Give it like a month.
Right. But like on a financial perspective, it was a complete loss, waste of time from like a socialization. It was good and fun.
But you could have the socialization aspect without paying for a table.
Yeah, I could just go there and hang out, probably. Or just like bother you at your table.
Literally, I can buy you a $10 vendor badge, add it to my package, and you could go and be there as a vendor and not have to contaminate your animals. Like there are other ways to have, or like you said, buy a corner and take the tables down and set up like a corner sofa.
I'm a little serious about
your
that
little
one.
microphone and be like, come talk on my podcast.
Yeah, people do that all the time.
Here's a photo album of all of my animals for sale and my website. You know?
Yeah, that's almost more appealing than what happened.
I just mean that there's other avenues that you could do that might be just as satisfying, and you may sell just as many snakes, maybe more. If people like sat down and were like, "Oh, she's hilarious! I'm gonna buy her snakes."
Am I hilarious though? Oh,
I think you're hilarious.
the candy canes and stickers to sub for the podcast was not a particularly good idea.
Whatever, my kid ate all your candy canes.
Well,
Let's
yeah,
admit
in
it. Let me
general,
hear.
kids want the stuff.
My daughter ate her candy canes. Probably stole candy canes behind her back.
Yeah, maybe.
So
but
many candy canes.
Like, there's nothing wrong with giving out free candy to like trick kids into having fun. But there's too many like asks there, like sub to the thing. People. There was also like
you literally had like a scan thing. I don't even know how you find those.
Chris did all that, but that was still
okay.
too much. No one wants to read it. Nobody wants to think about it. It's apparently
nobody read my podcast.
Yeah, it's apparently too difficult.
Advertisement.
So like you could urge someone to listen to the podcast, which I did a lot, even if they weren't buying. But
I heard people talking about our podcast at the show. So they must have been listening to you, or other people were saying, oh, they're the ones that have a podcast. Like people were talking about us.
Yeah, that's
which was nice.
Yes. And I had people say like, I already listened, or I messaged you about something before, or Jana told me to come talk to you about crypto or whatever. And so those were all good. But we don't need to bring animals to have those sort of good interactions with the community and expose them to stuff. Or like have to redo another quarantine. Like I'm not even sure like how long should I quarantine these ones before putting them on Morph Market?
I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that.
Like they weren't, maybe exposed, but maybe they were. I have no idea. Like if I knew they'd like left my house, went into someone else's house and were put in their rack, they would come back for 90 days or whatever. But they didn't go. I don't like. It's so confusing now from like a biohazard management strategy.
I was gonna like hold my breath for like 2 weeks and hope nothing shook out.
No, but what are we gonna do if it was crypto or something?
Doesn't all of that kill ball pythons really quickly?
No, ball pythons are probably a reservoir for crypto.
Oh, okay.
Like they just are infected and are fine.
Maybe I'll send out a rando swab.
Yeah, I don't have a good answer because it would be stupid and financially destroying to like, I'm going to retest everything. Now it's come back.
After not making any money at this show.
I'm going to spend $25 a head to just double check. That's not the correct answer. So the correct answer is either some combination of you need to be away from vendors who have problems with their management strategy. Right. A. B. They come back and are quarantined for some amount of time, but I don't know how much. And C. Don't bring anything expensive that you might want to hold back ever. I don't know. Like all those, I did have someone like come around and think about buying the Inchy Het Desert Ghost females.
Oh, I want one of those.
Yeah, they came in the morning, the Saturday. They were obviously a breeder person or wanting to be a breeder. And they came on Sunday and they're like, what's your bottom dollar? I'm like, there is no bottom dollar.
That is the bottom dollar. Yeah. We're at a show.
Like
and
you and I are looking at each other and both know that that's
cheap.
Yeah, it's good. And she's 300 or 400 grams. She's 6 months old.
And she looks amazing. I have an Inchy 66 Het Desert Ghost and I was staring at yours going, it's not going to prove.
I don't know, maybe. But there's no reason to haggle on females, everybody. Het recessives. They'll last forever. So I may just keep all of them and just breed them as usual one time and have, 12 Het Desert Ghost females instead of 9. Whoopsie. Whatever.
Oh, no, I should have bought them all.
Right. Well, then
I have a hard time with the show format. So I tend to be a little bit like ADD. And so if I am looking for a particular snake, I can go onto Morph Market and I can shuffle through at my own leisure what I'm doing. And whereas the shows are very loud and very chaotic and very, like, you have to look and read every snake on someone's table to see what they have. And like, I don't know, I don't, it's not the right setting for me to be purchasing because it doesn't. Animals? Not that there can't be investment quality animals. It's just, it's so chaotic that my brain has a hard time. Like, I need this animal and I need this animal. It's just like, it's like so much spaz happening that even though I go and I try to look at the different booths, I never make it to enough booths. And it's so chaotic, and so everybody does everything so differently that it's a format that just melts my brain. And so then I end up just like overstimulated, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go back to my booth even though I've seen 5 tables.
Right. In my
So I don't ever
opinion,
get the good deals, or I don't ever get the like really super awesome animal from the show, where like other people who aren't affected by the chaos, they will go and find like the super secret cheapo female that's amazing, you know?
right. Well, this show is weird because people don't bring their high-end stuff to show off particularly either. I mean, a little bit, but not like, an Arlington, Texas show where you're like
Where
half
half
of
of JKR's display is just look at how
right,
badass
and half
this
of
is.
eye candy and half of like 10 other major ball python breeders is like holdbacks, or like you want to give me 15K, then you can have it. Like, and Bob's Ball
They're
shows up.
holdbacks, but you could
Yeah, so
offer
like
me a high enough number to motivate
none of that
me.
comes to this show particularly, and that's what we're probably really interested in. I saw somebody somewhere who was on Morph Market, and he had a whole complement of yellow belly spot nose clown, yellow belly spot nose red stripe clown that were not on Morph Market and were just a picture on his table from Texas. So they're saving stuff that I would want to buy. It's not on Morph Market for high-end shows in markets that are good. And they were
He was
cheaper
at our
than
show?
Morph Market. No. I'm just commenting about real shows in real
Real
markets
shows.
that are like
Okay.
high-end.
Okay. Who is it? The guy who's like, was bringing like visual clowns to the show. I should have wrote his name down. There was somebody who was working some high-end project and posted about coming to the show. Is it Moss Family? No.
I don't know. I didn't get around to that many ball
I
python ones. I
didn't
was mostly
get-
looking at colubrid people.
Yeah, that's
Because
fair.
like a colubrid is very
I don't
rarely
know.
super
Hot take,
expensive.
are you going to be getting out of ball python?
Well, what I'm thinking about doing is like never vending sub 300 ball pythons anywhere, wholesaling all of them to you immediately or whoever wants them,
Uh-huh.
and only selling on Morph Market ball pythons and boas because they're a disease risk or something, and it's just too much work taking multiple species that don't play well together to the show.
Yeah.
And then I could take corn snakes and colubrids. They like to be cold. They don't care that they're on a table in 60 degrees. You know what I mean? They're from North America. It's not like a whatever.
Yeah, whereas every show I go to, I have a ball python that rubs its face raw.
Yeah. And the corn snakes are, because they're cheaper, it's hard to sell them online because if they're 150 plus 50 shipping, but that's the price of all corn snakes is between 150 and 350 or something. But you could have a ball python collection that's all animals that are $1,000 and above that are produced, and you just sell $1,000 and above ball pythons on Morph Market exclusively. So I could do the shows with just colubrids, wholesale low-end boas and low-end ball pythons. So that's sort of where I'm going with it, maybe. I don't know. And if I wanted to bring like one acrylic display of boas or one acrylic display of ball pythons to complement it, depending on what my inventory is. Because this year I have a banana. What? Yeah, I have a banana tri-stripe breeding stuff. So I'll have banana combo males that kind of don't matter. They're het tri-stripe. Banana het tri-stripe by itself is like $600 in males. So I would have to decide if I wanted them to like be their combo or not. Does that sound weird?
At shows, males, hets don't matter.
Right.
Like you almost can't include them in the price.
Right. But would I want to sit on
and wait for them to
I would probably
like
omit that they're even het tri-stripe, not even write it on there, and just be like, just so that people won't buy it as super cheap breeders, because I would be dropping the market on that one by a lot.
Oh, I hear you.
Like the people who make normal het puzzle males, a normal het puzzle male is $400. So you would need to hide the fact that it's het puzzle if you need to go sell it for $50. Like no one will buy it from you for $400, but you also don't want to like crash your own market.
Right? That makes sense. That sucks.
For those at home that are trying to get a sweet deal, I also have other banana animals, so you're not going to be able to tell. who the sire was if I decide to like obfuscate the hets.
Oh,
Unless
bananas
that's what.
for everyone.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we did it.
I think we did it too.
I got 1,000 things to do today,
That's the other thing.
unfortunately.
Is it causes like a cascade of like work
Backup
load?
work.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it does. So I'm always behind for at least like a week or two after a show and like the week before a show.
All right. Good job. We did it. I did it. I may never do it again. But
I don't know.
can't
Definitely going
say.
to do July, but I don't know if I'll do April.
Yeah, I would not do April. There's nothing you wouldn't have any. If you wholesale
should-
all your little stuff now, you'll have like 3 snakes.
Yeah, I probably won't have anything. I don't know. I haven't done any math on if something lays soon. That would be available then. I'd have to math that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it would
not
be very
important
difficult for
today.
something to be not already
Ready.
ovulated and to have the babies ready to go by April. It's already running out of time.
No, I think I have 2 that should be shed. I just haven't checked on them since I got home.
Okay, yeah. See, I don't have anything even close to
Pre-lay
ovulation.
shed. I
So
have
like,
2, and then I have 1 that's close to ovulating. So I'm hopeful that first of the year I'm going to start having girls lay.
that was episode 9, everybody. Next week, we'll return to a somewhat normal format. It's a really great JKR podcast. Hopefully, Jana will go listen to it this week. That's your homework.
MJ1?
Yeah. Did you already listen to it?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance. It looks really good, though.
It was really good. So that
Okay.
we'll talk about that one a lot. I thought there was a lot of tidbits in that one. I might even re-listen to it just to double check. All right, we did it.
We did it. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Bye.